Good afternoon. Welcome to another live demo here at Woodcraft Spokane. I'm Mark, and today we're going to be talking about and maybe answering some questions out there of outdoor finishes. And what kind of makes an outdoor finish? Some of these you probably recognize, and I'll kind of try and go over them a little more clearly here one by one. Outdoor finishes are going to have some sort of UV protection so that they don't degrade in the sunlight. They're going to be more or less waterproof and probably have some sort of mildewcide or antifungal properties to them. All the finishes I have here, save for a couple, are really meant for more vertical type surfaces. They will work on horizontal surfaces, they just won't last quite as long. So kind of to start out, grabbed a few things here that we have, pretty much all that we carry as far as outdoor finishes go. Kind of start here, this is teak oil, and are we in frame okay? I imagine so. Joel's nodding his head, yes. This is teak oil. It's not really made from teak, but it's really great for harder woods like teak and mahogany, rosewoods. This will bring the natural oils back into the woods, really protect it as far as from sun and water, and actually can be used on a boat. Really great for that, really great for outdoor furniture. So teak oil there. Tung oil, this is fantastic as well, very natural. There are no mildewcides in this, but when properly maintained will repel water and can be used on deck surfaces, boat or around your pool or anything like that. But definitely something that needs to be maintained fairly periodically. And typically you'd want to thin this out, at least for the first couple coats, so you have really good penetration into the wood surface. And then you can go with a full non-thinned to build up some coats on top a little better. It is oil-based. It does take a long time to dry. You're probably 8 to 12 hours between coats, depending on the day. But it's one that actually hardens in and on the wood, so it'll be a very good protective finish. Oil finishes, this guy here, this is one of my favorites. This is General Finishes Outdoor Oil. Very similar to Armor Seal or Seal-A-Cell, but has the UV stabilizers in there and the antifungals. I've used this on some exterior grade fencing and lasted through a summer and winter. Coming out the other side still looked brand new. One of my colleagues here, he did his whole front porch out of cedar and uses this stuff on there and works great. Really, really easy to use. Ready to go, no thinning required right out of the can. When I get through kind of talking about each of these, I kind of go through my pros and cons of why I'd use one over the other. So really, really cool finish. Then we get into those, those are kind of the oils as far as it goes. Then we get into kind of like a mix of in between. And this is an oil / kind of top coat. This is Watco's Marine Sealer and Finish. This is like a two-part system here. You definitely, in order to make it fully water resistant, you'd want to do the sealer first and then the top coat on there. We typically carry the gloss top coat. I do believe they make a satin top coat for it that we should be able to get if you want to go that direction. But two-part system there, again, oil-based, something that does take some time, but really, really good. Just brought up Joel there showing a sign to me. Along those lines of the oils, we have a new product in here by Osmo. This is UV protection oil, kind of on those same lines of that guy. This is a single part. There's no sealer necessary with this. This has UV protection in there. On vertical surfaces, they say it lasts 12 times longer than just about any other product with UV protection in it, with only 2 coats. This does not, however, have antifungals in there. It is just a UV protector. But again, 2 coats, where the other ones typically at least 3, maybe more, depending on what you want your final results to be. But this one is also, when cured, plant and people and animal safe, which is a good thing for most of us here. So we have the Osmo oil now for that, with UV protection in there. Then we get on to other film building top coats, which you may be familiar with. Spar Varnish. This is very marine grade finish here. This one is boy, I've lost my train of thought. This one is not water-based. This is a solvent-based finish here, but definitely marine grade, great for outdoor furniture and your boat, outdoor signs, anything like that's going to be really great for that. Then we get into water-based, and don't let that fool you. Water-based finishes, they're not actually based on water. The water is just a carrier for the finish, and so it evaporates out there and leaves behind the resins, and then in this case, the UV protection and antifungals and all that sort of stuff. I've used this several times on some outdoor signs and other projects. Works really, really great. Builds fast, dries fast, very protective. Really, really like this product here. Then a couple other things. Sealers. I have 2 different sealers here. System 3 Clear Coat. This is an epoxy-based sealer. This is really great for outdoor furniture. It's really going to get into the wood. It's going to harden up really, really nicely. But highly recommended to put a top coat over it, which is going to be like the General Finishes Exterior 450 or the System 3 Spar Varnish. Those are going to have the further UV protection and antifungals that are going to make this last a lot longer, and really, really great for your outdoor furniture. This one is called Nano Seal Once. This again is a sealer, a couple coats, some pretty, I wouldn't say complicated, but some pretty explicit directions on how to apply this. And then over the top of it, you can either use their stain, you can use other stains or finishes over the top if you like, or even paint. And again, UV protection, antifungals in there for even decking, decks, rails, outdoor furniture, both horizontal and vertical surfaces there. And the other one I have here, before we kind of talk about pros and cons, is actually General Finishes Milk Paint. This is not specifically a traditional milk paint, but it is a water-based paint. It is fantastic. I have done some exterior signs with it where I just painted, and one in particular has been around for, I think about 4 years now, and it still looks pretty much brand new. The sign gets taken in and out at the end of the day, but still looks really, really great. I have recently done another sign with this product and gone over it with the Exterior 450 just for extra protection or added protection on there, because it is something that is outside 24/7 and holding up fantastically. So this is always an option if you're not wanting to stain or do a clear sealer and you need to use paint. This is actually a great option for an exterior paint on there. Before we talk about kind of pros and cons, do we have any questions out there as of yet?
What's the difference between the Waterlox Marine and the Marine Spar Varnish?
The question is, what is the difference between the Waterlox Marine and then the System 3 Spar Varnish? I'm not super familiar with all the technicals of it, but as far as Waterlox goes, this is most of their products, or I think all their products, these are tung oil based. They do have other additives in there that make it different from the standard Waterlox to make it waterproof and for marine grade finish. So that's where that sits. take a quick look at this can here. Spar Varnish. This is actually, where that's tung oil base, this is actually a urethane base. Single part, don't have to do anything extra under or over it, no specific sealers or anything like that. But to make things, prolong things, you can also use the clear coat and then the Spar Varnish over it. I know in the marine world, doing wooden boats, even if you're doing fiberglass, which is done with an epoxy, typically do some sort of Spar Varnish over the top of it, and it helps prolong that fiberglass and epoxy coat on there. Any other questions out there? Nope, not at this time. So pros and cons, and this is kind of from my experience, what I've done, what I like to do. When it comes down to it, typically when you have an oil-based finish, you typically don't have a really thick finish on there. And so as it wears down, it kind of wears out. You'll notice that over, depending on where it's at, how much sun exposure it has, how much water is it, exposure, rain, weather, all that sort of stuff. Is it up on a covered porch? Is it out in the middle of everything? Oil-based kind of will wear out, and in order to freshen it up, it's as much as cleaning your surface, cleaning your furniture, making sure that they're dry, and then adding new coats to it. The drawback there is it's oil-based. It takes a while to cure. Again, 8 to 12 hours between coats. You might get one coat on a day for a few days, and that's kind of where you're at there. When you're doing a film building top coat like the Exterior 450 or Spar Varnish, they have a tendency over time to crack and peel. So in order to fix those, it's a matter of removing everything and kind of starting from new again. You may be able to get away with fixing spots, but it's not going to always look as good as if you started over from the beginning. But they typically add more protection than a standard oil base, because you are really sealing off the outer layer on there and protecting it a little bit more than you would typically with an oil base. So in the end, you might have to refresh the oil base a little more often than you would the top coats. Typically, though, the top coats you're going to have to strip and redo when you get to that point. Any other questions out there? Nope, no other questions at this time. Most of these can be sprayed, brushed, wiped. Typically, just read the can. I've brushed most of these. I have sprayed some of these, and either method works really, really well. Shouldn't have any problem there. Question?
I heard you can take the Exterior 450 and add a water-based stain to it.
Oh, great question. So the question is, can you add a water-based stain to Exterior 450? So as far as color goes, I don't remember, we don't have them at this time, but at one point or another, General Finishes did carry exterior grade stains. You can actually add stain to this, just their standard water-based stains that we have out on the shelf, and spray this as a tinted finish, and it will be exterior grade. You can also use the gel stains, General Finish gel stains, under an exterior grade finish, and they will hold up just as well. And I find that typically if you're going to do a stain under something like a Spar Varnish or the Exterior 450, it's going to be plenty fine. The problem with some of the interior grade stains, your standard stains, is they may not hold up under the UV light very well. So something like this over the top, or if it's mixed into this, is going to give you that UV protection and make your colors last a lot longer. Any other questions? Doing well? Well, if you do have questions, come down and see us. I'm here a couple days a week. I guess in the end, if you like oil-based, stick with oil-based. If you want to try something new, this Exterior 450 is a great product for exterior grade applications. And my other favorite one, of course, is the General Finishes Outdoor Oil. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.